This Emancipation holiday weekend saw two nations coming together as the Premier of the Turks and Caicos Island visited Grand Bahama.
You have inherited a legacy that no doubt was built on God.
It's imperative that we have this sale done.
The newly appointed chairman of the Bahamas Hotel Corporation predicting a major turnaround in Grand Bahama's tourism sector. Road safety a priority as the police issues an appeal to motorists.
The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all, I'm Megan Shepard. It's so great to have you with us. As this country commemorates the 183rd anniversary of the abolition of slavery, known as Emancipation Day, a community in West Grand Bahama held activities in honor of its 60th anniversary. This holiday weekend, the island of Grand Bahama played host to a top regional official as the Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands visited the nation's second city. The historic leader arrived as guest of honor for a major cultural festival held in the heart of the community in the largest settlement in the country. Kimberly Mullings reports.
The Turks and Caicos Islands, a British overseas territory consisting of the larger Caicos and smaller Turks Islands, two groups of tropical islands in the Lucayan archipelago of the Atlantic Ocean and the northern West Indies. It lies southeast of Maguana in the Bahamas island chain and north of the island of Hispaniola. Historically, it has become home to descendants of the Bahamas, among them that country's premier. Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Honorable Charlene Cartwright Robinson, and her delegation arrived on Grand Bahama Saturday morning. The visiting diplomat with strong Bahamian ties traveled to this northern island for the third annual Sea Grape Homecoming held under the patronage of the Honorable Premier. She says she was thrilled to return to Grand Bahama, the island of her birth.
My connection is Pinedale, 8 Mile Rock, the wider Grand Bahama family. As I've said already, my parents they met and married here. I do have family that continues to live here. I was born in Rand Memorial. Spent the first 6 years of my life in Pinedale. Certainly, I do have a lot of roots still here, not just by family, but by my own upbringing. My family as Turks and Caicos Islanders migrated to the Turks and Caicos, and that's where I've been ever since.
Chairman of the Sea Grape Committee, Jerron Harvey, says it is a privilege to be able to host the 60th anniversary celebrations of the Sea Grape community under Premier Robinson's patronage. Most descendants, he notes, are from the Turks and Caicos Islands.
The Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands, her parents are from the community of Sea Grape, and although she was not actually born into the community of Sea Grape, she's still considered a Sea Grapean because of her heritage by virtue of her parents. And so she has some attachment to the community of Sea Grape. She knows she was a little girl running around in the community of Sea Grape, and so she knows well about the community of Sea Grape and how it got to this point. And so she's here to share in our celebration.
Kimberly Mullings, ZNAS Network News.
The Sea Grape Homecoming celebrations featured an array of activities which came to an end on Sunday with a church service in West Grand Bahama. The Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands was also in attendance as honor was given to the many persons who made major contributions to the growth and development of that community. Italia Hall was there.
The church service at the Mount Calvary Baptist Church in 8 Mile Rock was held under the theme 60 Years Strong, Thriving in Faith and Unity. The special service was held under the patronage of the Premier and Minister of Finance, Investment and Trade of the Turks and Caicos Island, the Honorable Charlene Cartwright Robinson. The Premier in her address reflected on her Bahamian heritage and her rise to political prominence, making history in a country she is privileged to serve. The Honorable Cartwright Robinson, who was born on Grand Bahama, shared her life journey and talked about the faithfulness of God.
I never dreamt of becoming Premier. I dreamt of being a pastor's wife, of being a teacher, of being a lawyer. And God set my life on a path that was very different from what I wanted. And I'm saying to you as I stand here, not just as the first female Premier of the Turks and Caicos, but the first female to be elected in all the overseas territories. The first female, The first female to serve as the chairman of the Overseas Countries and Territories Association, where I have responsibility for the British, French, and Dutch territories. No, not for any praise to me, but to tell you what God can and will do. So I want to encourage you as I leave these brief thoughts with you.
Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, congratulated the Homecoming Committee for their efforts.
What you have done this weekend and the years before in celebrating your heritage defines further who you are as a people. You're resilient. You believe in family and you believe in community. And once you have neighbors and a community that enjoys coming together and celebrating each other's victories and triumphs, you will forever be strengthened. And I think that Sea Grape, a part of AMARC, is a premier and primary example of how it is done when it is time to come together and support each other at every single level.
Bishop Kermit Saunders of Kingdom Worship Center International delivered the message. He encouraged the group to pour back into the nation's youth because they are the future of the country.
Empty yourself in the next generation. Empty yourself in the next generation. Empty yourself in the next generation. And what will happen is, 7 years later, your cup's still full. They know how to pray. They know how to trust God. Why? Because mommy taught me and I instilled the qualities. They still got manners. And so 7 years later, 7 generations later, you still got qualities.
The Premier of Turks and Caicos, the former Member of Parliament for West End and Bimini Obi Wilchcombe, along with honorees Sherabelle Jennings and Fred Baston, were then presented with awards for their contributions over the years. Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Atalia Hall.
This Emancipation Day holiday marred by tragedy on Grand Bahama as this island records a double traffic fatality which left 2 females dead following a collision in the Lucaya area. Now, ZNS News team was on the scene shortly after the tragedy unfolded. We spoke with the officer in charge of the Road Traffic Department, Superintendent of Police, Jeremy Henfield.
Received a call of a traffic accident that would have happened here on East Sunrise, just west of Chesapeake, involving 2 vehicles, a self-drive vehicle and a pickup truck. The information coming in is that the self-drive vehicle would have attempted to make a right turn and would have accosted the pathway of the truck when the collision occurred. Both vehicles were extensively damaged. The self-drive vehicle had a party of 5 persons in that vehicle. One of those persons would have expired here at the scene as a result of the injuries received.
Henfield confirmed that passengers inside the rental vehicle were also rushed to the Rand Memorial Hospital.
4 persons were transported to the Rand Memorial Hospital, and at this time we just waiting to hear what their conditions are. The driver of the pickup, it's a resident here of the Bahamas. He appeared to be uninjured, but was still advised to seek medical attention.
Confirmed reports reaching our newsroom say another female succumbed to her injuries and later died in the hospital. This fatal crash coming just days after an accident claimed the life of 26-year-old male resident of Freeport. The man died on Friday after his 1999 Toyota Ram truck crashed into a utility pole while in the area of Settlers Way. Investigations are continuing into these matters. This Emancipation Holiday road safety remains a priority for traffic officials on Grand Bahama as they move to sensitize the public about proper road use. Officer in charge of the Police Traffic Division, Superintendent Jeremy Henfield, reminding residents of some life-saving driving tips.
I want to again remind persons of driving that you must ensure at all times that you drive with due attention and care. That is one of the things that we find lacking a lot. Persons texting while driving, or changing the radio station, or not having your child properly seated, and you have to turn around or look back to ensure that that child is seated. And so we want to advise you please to take all necessary precautions, not just for this holiday, but throughout the year.
As motorists take to the streets, Henfield is appealing to residents to adhere to all of the rules of the road. As a precaution, he is also reminding residents to always keep their vehicle doors locked and to always be aware of their surroundings.
One of the things that persons do is they wait till they get to where they're going and then open the back trunk and put your goods in. You don't know who's watching you when you pull up. And so you putting it in the back trunk, to you is securing it, but you would have already been seen. And so if you have to go certain places, just take what is necessary for you to where you're going, and all those other items you can leave those home.
In news from the tourism beat, the latest data from the Ministry of Tourism revealed that overall here in the Bahamas, arrivals are down for the first quarter of the year. According to the report, there was a fall off of 2.2% in arrivals. This decline reflected a 9.4% decrease in air traffic, which increased by 2.3% in the first quarter of last year. The decline in sea arrivals, however, decreased from 0.2% from 1.1% in 2016. The report states that the largest overall declines occurred here in Grand Bahama, where air arrivals were down by 41.2%, far outpacing the 17.2% reduction in 2016. Additionally, the cruise segment decreased by 12%. In the Family Islands, air arrivals were up 9.4%. However, a 13.6% decline in aggregate sea passengers resulted in overall visitors decreasing by 11%. There was good news for Nassau arrivals. They were up 7.3% after a 1.7% fall off in 2016. Despite significant challenges within Grand Bahama's tourism sector, the newly appointed chairman of the Bahamas Hotel Corporation is expressing optimism about the future of this island's #1 industry and a resurgence of economic activity on this northern island. Shashina Roll reports.
While many are waiting in hopes that Grand Bahama's tourism industry and economy bounces back quickly, Chairman of the Hotel Corporation of the Bahamas, Frederick McAlpine, says he has no doubt that this will happen soon.
We just want to see it sold, but of course you just don't want to do anything. And I think the government deciding to be a player in terms of having equity in it is a very good strategic move, because you want to catch the season that's upcoming. And in order to catch the season, you got to try and close the sale out, get your marketing done, and get your repairs done so that you can be open for the season. We want to see our people up and working for the season. You can imagine a Christmas on this island and that hotel not being open. It's going to be rough.
He says the government is working assiduously to ensure that this island not just return to its former glory days, but even surpass when Grand Bahama was known as the Magic City.
I must also state that once the hotel is sold, and we should then first have what is called a construction boom, because you'll have people working to do repairs. So there should be a construction boom. And then from that should spin off, once it's completed, then you have the hiring of folks, and you keep moving forward and moving forward. And so it's important, it's imperative that we have this sale done. And I'm glad that the government has decided to take the initiative and to move forward and to be a part of trying to stimulate the economy by trying to put our people back to work. Again, the government is at work trying to do what it can. We don't want to be in the hotel business, but if it means putting our people to work and stimulating the touristic economy and product, then we must do what we have to do. These are desperate times, and it calls for desperate measures.
And if that doesn't happen?
So Grand Bahama there are enough people. There are 8 parliamentary colleagues around the table for Grand Bahama. 5 members of parliament, 3 senators. And if we don't do nothing with Grand Bahama, we deserve a cut behind.
Shashina Lowell, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. There's more news right after this.